Hey, what is up, you guys? I wanted to hop on. I'm not going to be on this week Facebook Live, not sharing, but I am sending a very personal email this week because I think it's important that you know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just came out with that free PDF for you guys on request. Many of you wanted it, and many of you responded and replied with a lot of soreness, but a lot of fun, a lot of sweat, and enjoyed it. So keep them coming, keep giving me feedback. The more feedback you give me, the more I can create products that you enjoy, and the more that you can benefit and achieve your goals from those products. So going into why I created what I created, I chatted a little bit about this in my story, but today I wanted to share a little bit more, especially for people that haven't heard it or haven't really gotten to know me for the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this week I share my story and I'm basically talking about it, but go ahead and you can read it if you want. If not, that's fine too. I started out by saying all I've ever wanted in my life was to be loved, simply loved. I think lots of times we desire attention and desire recognition and all those things, but under the root of it all, it's taken me a while to finally realize that really what at the core of it, the root is love. So when I really go back and I think about my dysfunction, my relationship with food and exercise and how negative it is in that dysfunction, I go back to middle school. That's really where it started. I think it was 7th grade, and I remember that's really where the dysfunction and the comparison, maybe it was 6th actually, yeah, it was 6th grade, that it hit me hard. And so from there on up, started in middle school, continued in high school, and then manifested itself big time in college. So long story short, I just never felt like I was enough. I never felt loved, and I never felt really like seen and known and recognized. I always wanted to be the beautiful girl that all the guys asked out. I felt like in high school, like all the girls were just like around me getting asked out, and I was just like, what's up? And so as hard as I tried, as fun as I thought I was and my personality, I was never skinny enough, and I was never tiny enough. I always felt like I was big, like I had these like man hands and big thighs, and I was just never that girl. I always wanted to be that girl that all the guys asked out, and I just never was, honestly. And so I thought maybe if I was skinnier, maybe if I was smaller, tinier, prettier, gosh, you name it, or fill in the blank, maybe someone would actually recognize me. Say maybe someone would pursue me, and maybe I would actually be seen and known and felt like felt important. So I spent hours in the gym. It's really like where I felt like people saw me. People saw me in the gym. Like when I came in the gym, people were like, "Oh, there she is again." Like people, I got to know trainers, I got to know the people, like people would make comments, and so I got a lot of recognition there. And yeah, all those hours in the gym wasted on the stairs and wasted looking at myself in the mirror and just trying to figure out who I was. It was never enough. So I kept trying, but it still wasn't enough. And so a lot of people ask me like, okay, so Lauren, what was your pivotal moment? Like what was it that all of a sudden, like who you are today is not who you were clearly? What was that moment for you? And to be short and sweet, I woke up one morning and I was unable to walk, to see, talk, and really like do much of anything. I actually thought I was dying and had cancer. And come full circle, long story short, I dropped a bar on my head in the weight room the day after my bodybuilding competition. Imagine that. And it was at that point where it was like really that I didn't get a choice. It was that choice that I didn't make that really took me out of that situation and took me out of the ability to even think or like want to desire to do those. I couldn't think, I couldn't walk, I couldn't function to even go there into the person that I was continuing on that path and wanted to be. So coincidence? Some may think so, but I say no, like a strong no. And that thing was Jesus for me. So that big no to the coincidence is definitely a yes to the reality and the truth of my life, which is Jesus. So the reality is that to this day, it's been by far one of the hardest things I've ever dealt with. Most grueling, depressing, just like trial, but yet a blessing of my life. So it's like twisted, right? My roommate came home, so I was like awkwardly talking to myself in the camera. I'm like, just talking to myself over here. So I decided to move outside. But I share this with you guys because it is such a twisted mind, mentality in my mind and in my heart that's taking me to get to the place I want to be. But ultimately, it was out of my control, but it was in my control how I responded to that situation and how I continued to move forward and think about it. So for a while, I was super depressed. Oh my gosh, I was so depressed. And I fought it so hard to go back to my old ways, and I just like physically, mentally, and emotionally couldn't, like no matter how hard I tried. And so I want to encourage you that whatever you're going through, it really is your decision to move forward in the way you want to, and you can move all different directions, but if you don't pivot in a new direction, you end up in the same place, like physically, emotionally, mentally. And so whether that's losing weight, whether that's healing a relationship, whether that's taking a risk and doing something that you've wanted to do for a while, I would just encourage you that I'm still there, and that the beginning of my journey really started when I decided to kind of die to myself and decide to try something new. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope you have an awesome week, and I hope this encourages you to move the dial and take a pivot and kind of move in a different direction, even if that's scary, because we're called to walk forward in courage and not fear. Have an awesome week.